Welcome to the Aesthetic Business Masters podcast, the show where we dive deep into the business behind the beauty. I'm your host, Nicole Montgomery, and each week we bring you real conversations with industry leaders and educators and business owners who are shaping the future of the aesthetic industry. Today I'm joined by Emelly Simons, the cosmetic coach, an experienced business strategist with a rich background across spa management, clinic ownership, and mentoring professionals in the beauty and aesthetic space. Em brings over 2 decades of hands-on experience and a passion for helping businesses operate with clarity, confidence, and purpose. In this episode, we'll dive into leadership, building sustainable sales systems, and how communication underpins everything that makes a business successful. Before we dive in, let's kick things off with some rapid-fire questions so you can get to know Em a little bit more. Well, let's dive in.
Let's roll.
Yeah, we're going to kick off with rapid-fire questions. So that literally means your seat is on fire, whatever comes to your mind first, no right or wrong answer.
Okay, well, you've met me a couple of times.
I think you're going to be great. Coffee or tea to start the day?
Black coffee, instant, all the black.
First business lesson you ever learned?
Is it all starts and ends with you.
That's good. Biggest myth about success in our industry?
That once your Instagram grid is pretty, they will come.
Oh, so true. Leadership, is it learned or is it an innate skill?
Innate, with honed skills.
Excellent. And one word you wish more business owners embraced?
Pause. Okay, shut up.
Oh, goodness me. So true. I wish I had a pause button. Oh my God, I'd be hitting myself all the time.
Yes, but I think that's the big thing is like with pause, it's got so many different ways that it works or is needed. It's, stop rambling, stop talking, don't explain yourself, all of the things.
Yeah, I literally talk my, I guess, clients or prospects out of a sale.
Oh, you're that lady.
I'm my own devil's advocate.
Yeah. It's easy to do though, right?
Yes. So, Emelly, I'm sure you've seen this 1,000 times, but can you talk us through how a practitioner evolves to being a leader?
I can. All right. So practitioners, I think, is when they're on their own, right? So you're a practitioner, you doing it yourself, you're in the rooms, and then all of a sudden you get to a point where you think, uh-oh, I've either grown too much or my business is growing too much. And the way that people transition is basically to work on themselves. Because when you go from a practitioner, you're a very solo person. Everything that you do is up to you. As I said earlier, it all starts and it ends with you. So then when you actually become a leader, it actually becomes a lot larger picture. So you have to be a lot more mindful, I guess, of how you're showing up, how you're speaking, what is the impact of whatever it is that you do in that moment, what's the ripple effect, where are you going, what are you doing? So it is, I think, the number one thing a practitioner can do to evolve from practitioner to leader is evolve themselves.
Yeah.
Sure, I can say that.
Yeah, look, it's so hard because I know, a lot of practitioners and industry professionals want to be we want to be liked. We want to be friends with everybody.
And that is no. Sorry to cut you off. I'm so sorry to cut.
No, not at all.
It's one of the biggest issues that I see is that leaders forget that once they become leaders, particularly if they've moved from part of a group into a leadership role and their colleagues, they're now in charge of their colleagues. The primary instinct for a human, as you said, is to be liked. But when you get liked as such, your boundaries or the protocols or everything else goes by the wayside, potentially, because you're more concerned with what are they going to think rather than what is best for the business or what am I actually here to do. So we have to get rid of that. And that is probably one of the biggest skill sets that a practitioner has to learn, is you have to learn to take the emotion out of whatever it is that you're doing and see it for what it is. It's objective.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've literally just answered my next question. What leadership skills are essential for sustainable growth?
Sorry about that.
But what are some of the common gaps in leadership that you see that clinic owners overlook?
I think the biggest gaps that they have is, and I know that we're going to talk about that a little bit more, is communication and the way that they show up in their business. So I think, and the lack of systems that some of them even have. And if they do have systems, it's just a pretty book or it's a pretty thing that gathers dust and based on their mood changes day to day on who gets what or how they're enforced with a client or a particular team member. So consistency is another big thing that I think is a gap that's missed in a lot of businesses that I work with or that I see. I even went to one this morning. I had a coaching call and I walked in and I was there and I was talking to the practice manager and the client sitting next to me and she goes, "Oh yeah, we're just waiting for the therapist." I was like, "What?" I watched the therapist walk past us, put her bag away and do whatever it is that she had to do before she took the client through. And I was like throwing daggers at the practitioner manager and she's like, I was like, "No, what was that?" And, there is a rule that she has to show up at 8:45. Yet it's 9:10. No. So that is a big gap that I see.
Yeah. Gosh, that's hard. I think that there's also a generational thing here. I feel like, our generation have a really good work ethic. And
they do. And actually, that was one of the comments that she made to me. She was like, "Oh, she's, that generation. She's a little bit more open." And I was like woke. And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "That doesn't mean you can't show up to work on time. I'm sorry." So did you dock her pay? And she's like, "No." I was like, "Well, you need to. There's no consequences." Sorry, I feel like I'm going on a completely right-wing just rant on this one. This could go anywhere, Nick.
No, but it's so true. And it can be frustrating, because obviously there's a generational gap, I guess, and we've just grown up in a different time. But yes, moving on, and I don't know if you've seen this before, but I have seen this in workplaces that, I have worked and businesses, I guess, I've looked at as an outsider and certainly not a leadership expert or coach or anything like that, where the owner of the business treats the business as if it's their baby, which it is,
yes,
and is so ingrained that there's no trust for anyone and has to approve and oversee and be ingrained in every single moving part of that business to the point that you feel sorry for them because you think they're probably killing themselves.
Well, they are. Yeah, they are. They're burnt out. You can almost guarantee it.
How do you go from being an on-the-floor operator in the business to actually being an owner?
Well, I think that you've first got to figure out what is it that you want from your business? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that say, you can't be successful. Actually, maybe I should take that back about the Instagram grid, is that so many people say that you cannot run a successful business if you are still working on the tools, which I think is bullshit. I think you can absolutely do both. You just have to understand that you want to do both. So I think the best way that business owners can learn is to create the space for them to train people to the level that they trust and know how it's going to work. If they've created the systems and they know those systems work, they have to start understanding that if they don't want to be burnt out and they don't want this to be their way of life, create the space and time to develop the people and you will get there.
So true. I guess it's all just time, isn't it?
Well, it is time. And I'm working on that a lot with my clients at the moment, and it's batch timing. Okay, well, you can't get there now, but how are you going to get there? And I like to plant seeds and just to continually say, this is not all about you. It is about your client. It is about your family. It is about everybody that touches it. Yes, you are the creator of it, but it's not just about you. And the sooner that you learn that, the better off everybody around you is going to be.
Absolutely. And for any APRA registered practitioners, as you would know, they go to uni and they study for all these years to help people and to change lives and, often starting in medicine, in emergency and whatnot. So, have this real honor and ethical way about them, wanting to do the right thing by people. But when it comes to running their own business or an injecting clinic, they see sales as they're turning into a car salesman down on, the local in Sydney, Parramatta Road.
Yes. This absolutely kills me. Absolutely kills me that this is a feeling, and I completely understand it. And it's still, as you just said, it's common. And I think for the first part, it does come from that place of, I just want to help and serve. And what I also think is that because when you come over to, say, cosmetic injectables, I've never actually, just while we're talking about it, I've never seen an injector balk at telling a client how many units they need to achieve their result or how many mils they need to achieve their result. They just flat out, boom. And, with the new guidelines, you actually have to gain financial consent. So this is where I guess for me, it doesn't marry. So if you can come in and you do that and you know that you legally have to do that, everyone feels okay about it because it's a compliance thing. Whereas we need to move the shift into the mindset, or where I think the gap comes is that when they start thinking lasers, skin, or products that are going to enhance the result, that's where the feeling comes from. Because they've gone from this heavily, I guess, regulated and really high-end consequences. So they almost work out of a place of serve and fear into, well, this feels optional to me to tell them about it. And it is more of a long-term solution rather than immediate. Because if we think about injectables or ED or nurse practicing as a general, it's all about the acute treatment. What are you going to get out of it today? What am I fixing right this minute? Whereas when you're coming over to our side, or the cosmetic side, I'll say, is that we are now looking long term. So I think a lot of practitioners or injectors or whoever, they find it a lot harder to reconcile in their brain that this is actually part of the treatment. This is part of the longevity of what you're going to be putting in that person's body. This is part of the program or the information that they need and the things that they should be doing to get the result they're actually looking for. So once we can tweak that mindset is where we can start to see the change.
And then how would you get around turning KPIs into not being something that's really uncomfortable?
For me, that's all comes down to framing. And I will die on this hill, Nicole, like die on it, is that the biggest reason why people do not hit KPIs is because they don't actually set themselves or their clients up for success. They are seeing it as revenue raising, just like when people go, okay, so this is going to be a bit odd as well, but people get really cranky at policemen when they're getting speeding tickets out and they're doing this. They're literally just enforcing a protocol and a boundary. If you do the wrong thing, that's the consequence. Choice, consequence. Like, they're just doing a job. So I think what happens is once we're in here and we're thinking about, okay, a KPI is seen as the same sort of thing. It's almost like a punishment, like I'm sucking money out of a person. But what it actually is just getting a client to engage and interact with the results that they want to achieve. All that practitioner is, and they've got to remember this, is you are only there to supply the required information for your client to create or make an intentional result to get the results that they want to achieve. That's all you have to do. And then once they make that choice, you deliver it. That's it. And I think this is where they go wrong. So if I bring that to framing, so number one, they've got to remember that for their client to get the best result, they've got to recommend every part of the solution, not just what's happening today. Let the client decide. It's got nothing to do with you. Put all your personal shit outside. Done. The second thing is that I feel like nobody's framing correctly. And if they are, they're not worried about KPIs. So framing is when you greet your guest or your client, your patient, whatever you want to call them, and you actually tell them what's going to be happening in the time that you've got them together. You've got to gain permission. So in injectables specifically, they would come in and they do the whole, this is what's going to happen. We're going to talk to the doctor. We're going to get the consult. We're going to get da, 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 da. Whereas, and they go, yes, that's fine. And nobody has a problem and off we go. So the issue is that's where they stop. They shouldn't stop there. It's about, hi, Nicole, we're going to go through this. I'm going to ask you all of the questions and we're going to put you through to the doctor and then you've got to do this. And then I'm also going to include your aftercare, which includes your in-clinic treatments and your home care so that you can get the best results and maintain those results. How does that sound? And that's my golden coin. It should go on a t-shirt, the golden sentence. How does that sound? Because once a practitioner has said, how does that sound? Or they've asked that question, what they're actually doing is gaining permission to have that conversation. So it takes away all of the ick. It's because the client's effectively said to you, yes, please tell me about that. I want to know what my solution is. So this is and if they're getting that permission early on, they're making those recommendations of part of when they're telling the client the aftercare, like I want to see you in 2 weeks for your review. You may require a top up to get the best from this. I recommend you start your program, your home care program. You're not feeding your skin the right ingredients, blah, 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 blah. This is what you need to be using. We talk to doctor, we inject, and then we say, here's your aftercare. What are we going to do to help maintain those results for you? And it needs to just be seamless. So it is, and if they follow the same protocols or they adhere to protocols like they did when they were in the hospital, you never have to worry about hitting a KPI because the results will just come. They just flow. And the clients get a better result. The business makes more money. You can ask for more perks. Like there's a whole big thing. Hey, you want to go to that conference? Yes, I do.
And what do you recommend to, solo practitioners or nurses or big clinics that, maybe have diverse team to build confidence in selling, in being able to, remove that fear?
Remove the fear is number one. I think you've got to ask, are they all using whatever it is? Have they all experienced and have they seen the results? Because I think that's I know that's a really big block for a lot of people is if they haven't experienced the results or they haven't seen them firsthand, they struggle to say, this is what you need to be doing. So I would figure out what that looks like. Does my team, have they experienced some sort of personal result? Have they seen it with one of the other team members, patients and clients? Number two, create a framing sentence that becomes part of your policies and procedures that becomes so unconsciously ingrained that it just rolls off the tongue. Because you can start small with it be, what is the absolute must-haves in our practice that we know will look after a client's skin? And if that's just cleanse, hydrate, correct and protect, and it's 4 units, then that's what you pick and that's what you run with. And if they want more information, invite them back for a skin consult or whatever it is that you have in your practice. But that's the biggest 2 things they need to do.
I'm imagining now post-its everywhere in the staff room of these lines. Moving on to communication, what do you recommend and how do you encourage better internal communication and team cohesion?
Team cohesion, consistent meetings basically is the big thing. They are the number one thing that get absorbed and they get pushed out of calendars along with education and BDM visits. And they shouldn't, because your team is your heart. And there's nothing worse than your clients finding out something before your team members. So this has happened to me a few times back in my old role. I'd roll into a business and they'd be like, oh, Em, talk to me about this promotion. I'm like, yeah, sure. Let me just find out what it is. And it's kind of like a micro direction as well. So you have consistent team meetings. So I would suggest that every business you have one a month, like a full team meeting. And you need to be covering upcoming promotions, trainings, protocol changes, whatever that is, because what that does is even just sitting in the same room allows team connection. Then I also do believe that you need to have your one-on-ones. Now, these are the more personal check-ins, and these are where it creates the safety framework for your team member to be able to come to you. They might have some brilliant ideas and you just don't even know about them yet. Or there's things that you might need to share with them on areas of improvement. So you've got to have it. Encouragement. Like, what have you got in your team room? Have you got a group app or whatever that looks like for on the fly communication, because I think the more people understand what's the why, the more they're likely to comply and rally. We're all adults. Nobody likes being told what to do. So when you've got a leader in your business that's saying, okay, ladies, gentlemen, this is what we've got coming up. This is why we're integrating it. This is the result for the client. This is why it's great for our business. This is how we're going to do it. This is why we're going to do it. Everybody is a lot more happy. People love to feel a part of something.
Oh, I want to work there.
Yeah, I know, right? Maybe we just start our own.
Yeah.
This whole new thing.
This workplace sounds amazing.
I know, right?
I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I go to hairdressers or, have gone to clinics or salons over the years, every now and again, the person you see is on holidays and you see someone else for exactly the same treatment, but it's a completely different experience. How do you set and, I guess, teach client communication and expectations so there is, a standard level within the clinic?
Your own or the business owner needs to be checking is the easiest, most thing to be doing. I feel like I've lost my words this afternoon. I actually hate that as well. There's a reason why I go back to my hairdresser every time is because I don't think. But she does the same thing. I know what's going to happen and it makes me feel very comfortable, even though it kind of annoys me because I'm like, why do you keep asking me the same questions? I just want you to do what I want. But again, it's the consistency. You can tell that they're the exact same questions every time. And I love it because I know that she's written down the clinic notes correctly. So if I'm coming over into skin, I always say to my teams, you must write clinic notes to a level that if I walked in to treat your client, I would know exactly what you've done, exactly what you want to do next, because that's the big gap. Is you can write that I've done however many mils units and she liked this or she didn't like this, but what's next? Does she want to try something else? Where are we going? And I'm going on a tangent, come back, Emelly, is that they don't have that standard procedure that's checked and redirected. So mystery shoppers, having the business owner actively put themselves through the process that they expect their clients to go through to make sure that they are hitting the same quality touch points that are expected or set by the brand or the business. Yeah, because if I am an absolute bitch for a Biscoff Bicky, and if I went somewhere and that lady did not put my extra Biscoff Bicky on there, mad. Absolutely mad. Yeah, so they've got to check in. Consistent trade check and redirection. And if you don't have your policies and procedures set up, holy shit, talk to me.
And I am one of those people that, oh my gosh, absolutely hides under a rock with any challenging conversation, even challenging emails. If I hit send, I go, I can't not, scream. You get that.
Yeah, that anxious that builds up in you.
Yes. Oh, it's gone. Okay.
What will be now.
Yeah. What's your advice for tackling challenging conversations in business, and what do businesses avoid talking about?
Businesses, so many things. Okay, so number one, I'll address how do you do it, is you have to plan for it. So all emotion has to be taken out of it. It is a lot harder to do this if you don't have something to refer back to. So if we take that to our clinic owners and our practitioners, we're talking employment contracts for start. So that's one set of boundaries. Policies and procedures in the business, like how do we do things here, is the second thing that needs to be in play. Because when we're talking, and also for clients, so that's not just for how our team members operate within our business, it's how do our clients engage with us and what are their expectations with us, and where does that stop? So if you've got all of these things in play, it makes it a lot easier to have the conversation because you're just reinforcing a protocol or a policy. So it's actually a lot easier to separate you, the human, from the business policy. So coming with the facts, and I do this a lot with my owners, is that we prep and we verbalize what potentially needs to be said. And we practice the words and we practice what are the things that potentially they could come back to me with. So the more you prep, the easier it is to have it. You're still probably going to have that anxiety going into the conversation, but just I'm a massive fan of box breathing as well, or movement. They say that anxiety is just energy in the body that hasn't been expelled yet. So just do a little walk, do your thing, but prep, take the emotion out and write the facts down. When you in conversation or email is that you do not justify anything. You need to keep it factual. You need to just be able to pause and not be aggressive with it. So the more factual you are and you invite, the easier and the long term better it's going to be. Coming from curiosity is also a good thing. So if you're not 100% sure, it's help me understand why you did X, Y, Z when you know that our team protocol or the policy is X, Y, Z. So it's just boom, 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 very factual and curiosity. And what do business owners avoid? The big ones, when their practitioners or therapists take the piss, whether it's, consistently arriving late or wearing their hair down, breaking these protocols and not being redirected because of fear that they can't get staff. So they let a lot of things slide because they're too scared that they'll leave and they won't have anyone else. So I would say not making recommendations and retailing, breaking personal protocols with regards to grooming and attendance, anything to do with money, usually, complaints, upholding business. Oh my gosh, I have lost my words today. So upholding the boundaries or the protocols of the business when a client comes at you. So if they haven't followed protocols and something's gone wrong, a lot of owners will cave and almost admit fault just to make it go away. Or they'll offer a refund, or they'll just, they're avoiding the conversation of, no, I'm really sorry, Jane. You did not follow the protocols as lined out, so I'm not going to give you your money back. So they'd be my big ones.
Yeah, they're awkward.
They are all very awkward. And most people want to avoid firing people. That's a conversation that they don't like either. I've done it a couple of times, and you know what? I end up in tears both times afterwards, of course, because, game face. And a CEO that I had, she goes, Emelly, I'd be more worried if you didn't cry afterwards because it means that you just don't care. I was like, oh, good. I've just changed the trajectory of somebody's life. I'm glad it's okay for me to be upset about that. Excellent.
Oh, yeah, no, that is hard. And, someone's livelihood and, no.
Yeah. So let's add that to the list of conversations people want to avoid.
Definitely. And you talk about communication being at the heart of business success. Why is that?
Because it is the key to everything. Without communication, we lose. And we've touched on quite a few of them. It's like if we don't have communication, then nobody knows the expectations. Nobody can create the connection with each other. Nobody knows what's happening and they feel lost. Like, as I said, if you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's expected, you can't rise, you can't grow, and you will never get to the heights that you want to be. And it needs to be, and it's not just the fact about talking, because we can all talk, especially in the beauty and the cosmetic industry. We're good at it. It's about what type of communication are you having? Do you know your team? Do you know how to lead them? Coming back to a topic that we were talking about earlier, is that leadership is not only learning to regulate yourself and how do you show up and how do you stay calm, is how do you get the best out of the people that are working for you? Because it's not all just about making them do what you tell them to do because you wrote the damn protocol. A good leader knows that their business will thrive when they can take that human and make them the best that they can be. So it's figuring out how do you get that out of that person. The way that you would lead me or get me to reach my heights would be potentially very different as to how you would like it to happen. So a really good leader and communication is, how do I adapt so this is what I need. I have 5 or 6 people in front of me and they're all completely different personalities. How am I going to share this so that it hits where I need it to hit with all of them so that we're all working to that same common goal. So once you can nail that, she's the sweet spot. And obviously it's good for clients too, because if you're communicating effectively with them, they know what they're supposed to do. They get good results. They leave reviews. You've got raving fans. Nobody's got retention issues. And we all win.
Happy days.
I know. Everybody just start chatting.
And what's one communication skill every team should prioritize?
I wrote this one. I actually sat with for a long time because I was like, whew. And I'm going to go framing is my number one. The hill I'm going to die on is framing. And I think everybody needs to learn how to do that really effectively based on what they want for their business. So learn how to set yourself up for success by sharing with your client, patient, what they can expect in the time that you are together, what that looks like, what's the end result, what's the aftercare, and gain permission to have the conversation. Yes.
Nailed
it. Framing.
And what's the simplest daily action that delivers business momentum?
Planning. So once you know what it is that you want from your business or you need from your business, whether that be a behavioral thing from a client perspective or it's a, tangible numbers thing, whether we're talking retention, revenue, retail sales, whatever that looks like, is once you know what that is you plan it daily. So you need to be looking at each of your clients where you can. And I know that injectors and stuff, it can be a lot harder because you can see up to 20, 30 patients a day. But if you're doing all reviews, for example, if you can quickly look at those notes, because I know injectors always look at the notes and skin clinic people don't do it anywhere near as well. I'm sorry, but you don't. Is to look at that guest and not just look at what do I need to do in this minute. It's how can I enhance my client's experience with my business today that will also enhance their result based on what we want to achieve. So if I want to sell more memberships, what does that look like? Have that conversation. If you know what that is and you can plan it in daily, off you go. It'll be magic.
You've given us so much practical advice and so many takeaways. How did you get to this point of enlightenment? You're like,
oh, I love that. I feel like this is a moment.
Yeah, you're of the aesthetics industry.
Can I put that on a shirt too? You coined it. You said it. That's going into bio somewhere. Honestly, a lot of, I would say, trial and error. Not only in how I've led my teams, but by watching other people lead in their salons. Because there's been so many different business models that I've had the absolute pleasure of being able to work in. Seeing managers fail epically, seeing the task masters and how fast their staff turnover is and, what was the culture in the business, where they're picking the wrong personalities based on the business model. But then also having quite a few different leaders in my time and really paying attention to the ones that got the best out of me, but by watching how they got the best out of others as well has been absolute key. And I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to communication and body language. So the volume of books that I've consumed on it is ridiculous. It's crazy. And my love language happens to be words of affirmation. So the power of language is huge. What you can do with words and how you say them can just change somebody's life at the end of the day. We change lives with what we do with skin, injectables, lasers, like basically what our industry does, we can change lives, but language can also change lives. And I'm just really blessed that I've had my life changed a few times with different leaders, good and bad, that I was like, I think I'm going to, continue on this path. And I've seen people make a lot of money.
I love that you just said that because so many people don't like talking about money and are very afraid of being seen as financially successful. If anything, talk down their success. And I don't know, it's just such a taboo.
It is. And isn't that they call it the tall poppy syndrome or something? And I think at the end of the day, if you are clever enough, or not even clever, because everybody knows what they should be doing. So like if you are the personality that is bold enough to take the step, is really committed to a client's experience and result, the money is a byproduct. It is literally just a byproduct of giving a great service and great results to your clients. So if enjoying those things is a negative thing, well then I'll fucking take it every day of the damn week. You just go and find your other little posse over there and sip your bit of tea, bitch, and we'll be over here in the fucking Maldives with our cool cocktail and a hot cabana boy. Thank you. And it is still taboo, and I just don't understand it. Do I wish I had more money? Yeah, sure. Okay. Whew. You've hit a point here, Nicole, is that, and obviously edit me out, but I think a lot of the time where that comes from is for the people that know the work that is required, but they're not willing to put it in. So the only thing that makes themselves potentially feel better is to be able to just have words and kind of like justify how somebody chooses to live based on the effort that they've put in.
Yeah. There is nothing cooler than a strong woman knowing her worth and not giving away her services or her products or whatever it may be for next to nothing, just to please the world and go home and struggle and,
be miserable.
Sorry?
And be miserable.
Yeah.
That is something I say all the time. I was like, they are meant to pay you to look good. You are not meant to pay them. Sorry. And why is their bank more important than your bank? It's not. Are they the one carrying the risk? Are they the one carrying the risk that if they move, that there's an occlusion and half their face is going to run out of like blood flow and like shit could go really bad? You should pay for that. That's a lot of training in there. That's a lot of risk. That's what you're paying for, bitch. Yeah, it is. It's wild. And I think I watched this thing yesterday, actually, and it was a salon owner. But she was American, and with all the livings, she had a client that said, well, why don't you just lower your prices? Don't you know how expensive it is out there? And she literally said, do you ask your plumber and your electrician and your tradies to lower their prices? No, you don't. So don't ask me. Sorry. Yeah, it's wild. I'm with you. If you got the courage to do it and just make the most of it, then you deserve everything that comes with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bring on lots of beautiful, bold, strong, proud women to Aesthetic Business Masters this year.
Yes. And if you need some support and you need a cheerleader, I am your girl. I'm the hype girl.
Oh, that is fantastic. What a high to end on. Thank you so much for your time today and all of these valuable insights. I don't know how we're going to pull little clips for social media. It's going to be hundreds.
Well, we're not mad about that. I'm mad about, sorry for your editor.
No, it's been fantastic. I love it. We're not editing anything. You were amazing. And I can't wait to do this again and see you very, very soon.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much for having me in your space and letting me just share and hopefully help some people and support the Aesthetic Business Masters community. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a valuable conversation, and I know our listeners are going to walk away with actionable insights they can use immediately. I certainly have. For everyone listening, you'll find Em's details and the cosmetic industry coach details linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you've subscribed to the Aesthetic Business Masters podcast. And if you have a moment, we'd love for you to leave us a review. It helps us to continue to bring you meaningful conversations with industry leaders. Until next time, stay curious, stay confident, and keep mastering the business of aesthetics. Be bold in business and brave in beauty. And remember, success favors the courageous. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.